Hi friends, welcome to WebChamp. So in this video, I am going to discuss how to calculate cumulative sum in Power BI. Sometimes cumulative sum is referred as a running total. So if you are attending a Power BI interview question and if the question is on the DAX, so this question is an important question. So this will show how much you understood in DAX. The solution is very simple, but until you understood how this works, you will not be able to do this kind of calculation, right? So here I have to calculate a cumulative sum, let's say by a date column, by a date column. So here I will come, right? First of all, we will go and we will try to calculate the sum of sales amount. Okay, we will try to calculate the sum of sales amount based on the date key column. Right. So here I will select, since we are in a table view here, we are going to create a column, new column that will show us a cumulative sum, or I will say running total by date, right? So this is what my column name. First of all, we will select the calculate function. Inside this, we will pass expression as a sum of the column from which you would like to pick the numbers for the summation purpose. So if I do this, it will give you the sum. And since we are doing the calculation in the table, so it is going to filter the data for each row. So this is happening by row. The calculation is happening by row. I don't want to do this. I want to pick the rows based on this date, right? First of all, it should calculate the number for this first date. Like let's say this is 18th of June 2022. Sorry, 2020. So here what I will do is I will give the condition, or I will add the filter, so that what I'm doing is I'm going to use the filter or table filter expression. Instead of doing the calculation by a row on the same table or in the row context, I would like to do a calculation on the entire filtered table, because I want to get a total number for the date, right? Now what I will do is I will say here filter is a filter table expression. Fact online sales is my table name, and what will be the expression now. So here I will pass, because see what I'm trying to do is, if the date is same, I would like to get the total of that date. This is what my purpose. That's it. Okay. So later on we will implement this to get the cumulative date. Okay. So I will say date key. This is what my key column is equals to earlier of, because I am going to see this date key is coming from this filtered online sales table, but I want to get the value here from the table in which you are going to add a column. So now the situation is like we have a nested tables. This running total by date is inside the fact online sales table, and that facts online sales table is used inside this, meaning we have a nested table. That's why I am going to use the earlier. So earlier function is used when you have to do a calculation in the nested evaluation pass, meaning for the internal table, if you want to get the value from the one level up table, so you can use the earlier, right? So what does it tell me? Okay, so let's add here instead of looking for the values there. So let's pick the unique values. So date key, this is what the column. So here date key, I'm getting unique values, right? Then I will pick a running total. So by default, this is a numerical column, so it is summing up, but this is not an approach. I would like to say don't summarize, right? Why I'm getting the unique values? Because for each date here, you can see if the date is 18th of June 2020, the value will remain same. Sooner the value change means the date is changed. Okay, let's see the example here. So let's say from top 1 to 3, if you look for the fourth row, date must be changed, right? So 18, 18, 18, 19. Again for 19, we will have the same value. That's why I use don't summarize, so that it should pick the unique value or single value. If I pick the aggregation, so this number will goes off, right? So whatever is there in my column is coming up here. Now you can see this is not giving me the running total. See, if I add simply, if I add sales amount column on this, I'm going to get the same data, right? So this is sales amount, sum of sales amount directly by adding and the aggregation I'm getting here. And the same result if I'm getting here, what does mean or what is the difference between nothing, right? So this formula is not going to differentiate. Now the condition, so far what condition we used is get the sum of values for the date which is present in that specific row. But if I want to get a data, or if I want to get a sum of numbers, sum of number where the date is lesser than the date in this column, right? So here I will say if the date is less than or is equals to earlier of date, so this will give me the cumulative sum, right? Or I can say this is a running total. So now if you see here on 6/18, our sales amount is 194,061. On 6/19, our sales amount is 2.7 million. All right. So this is how the numbers. But if I add, so if I add these two numbers, okay, calculate and let me. Okay, this is not a calendar. I should find out the calculator. Okay, calculator is not there in my system. This is fine. So let me open the Excel. Okay, Excel document is opening. Here I opened Excel. Let me increase the size. Maybe the size is not visible to you. So let me say this is 12, right? And then column headers, again, I will make that as a 12. So if I add first two numbers, so if I click on this and if I say copy value, okay, first value I copied, again I will click on the second row, I will say copy value, And if I add these two, so my value is 295 or 6839, right? So this number is the sum of first two number. Similarly, if you look for the third row total in the column running total by date is the sum of first three date values, right? So this is how we are getting a cumulative sum. Okay, good. So we got to know how we can get the cumulative sum by using the calculated column. Let's say if I want to do the same, right here by using the measure, I will select the table, I will create the measure, and I will simply paste the formula here as a running total by date using measure, right? So I used this formula. So here you will get error for this formula. Why? Because this earlier context will not be available. This earlier context will not be available for you, because here we are not doing the calculation in nested evaluation, right? Pass. Because we are doing the calculation outside of the table. Measure is not a part, we can say not a part of the table. We can keep it in any of the table. So this is not going to work. In that case, if I change this to max and if I hit the enter button, okay, this is not giving me the any error, right? So again, I will bring this and yes. So total here you can see the running total by date using measure. So whatever the formula I applied here is not giving me. Is not giving me the running total. Okay. Then how to get this done? Right. So question starts here, how I can modify the filter context for this, because see here we are using the date from same column, the date from same column. So we need to use the filter modification formula here, that is called all selected. So we will see why we need to use that. Okay, so if I use all selected in the measure and if I cover this table and if I hit the enter button, max update. So let me see using the measure. This is fine. Okay. I must be modified the formula. Okay. I picked the wrong uh, field for all selected. So I don't want to update the formula in this calculated column. I want to update the formula in calculated measure. So if I come to the measure and if I use this all selected, Okay. So you will be able to see that this, again, this measure is giving me the sum of sales amount, which is equals to the running total by the date, right? So same number we are getting everywhere. We are getting the same number. So there are two ways to calculate the cumulative sum or running total. If you want to calculate in column, then you can use the earlier function. And if you say less than or is equal to earlier, in that case, it will work. It will give you the sum by the each date. And if you drag that and without any summarization, you will get the cumulative sum automatically, right? But if you want to calculate using the measure, so this is also possible, but you cannot use earlier because we are not in a table. Measure is something that is not, we can say this, that is not a part of table, any specific table. So you can use any columns aggregation from any table in the measure. So there is no as such restriction that you should use the columns from the same table in which you are going to create a measure, right? So we can say tables are just a container for the measures. Okay. So here, if you want to do the same in measure, so we will use max, and here we are going to use the all selected function instead of any filter function. So all you can use or you can ignore, both are going to same. But yes, here in measure you are supposed to use the all selected. This is mandatory. So all selected will just make sure the calculation respect the filters applied in the values. Otherwise, the formula that less than or is equal to max of your date accumulates the value up to the current row date. This will just make sure, meaning when you are selecting a value, when you enter the date column before the less than or is equal to symbol, right? So this will give you the list of entire dates of column. And now out of that, what we are doing is when we put the condition, so second, meaning whatever the date column we passed, so there it will pick the value from the current row. The current row of, not a table, current row of visual. And it perform the calculation as we expect. So this is how running total or cumulative sum is calculated in the Power BI DAX. So I hope you like the content of this video. Thank you so much for watching the video. Please do not forget to subscribe webcam to learn this kind of Power BI tricks. Happy learning.